main rule in diet ought to be that whatever is taken in should match one's digestive ability. Okay, and how one finds that out is by simple trial and error. That's the most direct way. If you eat something and it just doesn't sit right in the gut, then it's going to cause further problems down the road. Okay. Now that doesn't mean that substance should never be eaten. It can mean that, why is this so weak? Can this be strengthened? And frequently it can be strengthened. Not frequently. In my experience, it can always be strengthened. And secondly, it's not just a matter of let's use an example. Wheat was mentioned. What gets called wheat really runs a spectrum of things. So Wonder Bread is wheat. So is bread made from flour into the oven, and half an hour later, that's also wheat. And these things are very different in terms of their effects on the body. So I've had people who are sensitive to wheat stay away from the doughy stuff and go to a certain kind of wheat-based bread, and they don't have a problem with it. So again, wheat is not enough information either. You can take whatever it is, and usually you can prepare it and cook it in a way that agrees. Whereas the same thing in another way won't agree. So basic rule about bread is if you can smush it into a dough ball, it's not going to agree. But if you can't do that, it's going to have a much better chance of being digested properly. So get as much information as you can. Even the word dairy is not enough information. Yogurt is dairy, and so is cream, so is butter, so is cottage cheese, and so is cheddar and Swiss cheese. These are all dairy, but they are actually very different from each other. And it depends on to what extent one's digestion is impaired, which of those substances will be found to be indigestible. So the weaker the gut is, the less tolerance it'll have. But the stronger the gut is, it's going to be able to take certain forms of dairy without problem. So it's very individual again. And as the gut strengthens, it'll take in more. So nothing needs to be put away forever. It needs to be thought about, maybe in a different way. And it's possible to approach diet in a way different than yes or no, all or nothing. There can be a lot of subtlety in it. I'll give you another example with dairy. This is an experiment that I've done a number of times, and have other people try it. Ice cream at 2 in the morning. Not an easy thing for the body. But if you sprinkle a lot of cinnamon on it, it's not nearly the same thing. Because what you've done is you've changed the nature of whatever it was. It's really no longer just ice cream. It's ice cream plus the digestive power of that spice known as cinnamon. So when cinnamon goes in at the same time, it stimulates digestive power. And the ice cream then doesn't just sit there in a cold stomach. There is fire that's been stimulated by cinnamon. And so a person wakes up the next morning and doesn't feel as groggy, doesn't feel as mucusy, because they've done it that way. It's still not the best idea, even with cinnamon at 2 in the morning. But the point is that you can change virtually anything if you look at it this way. And this way of looking at diet is a very traditional way. It's still practiced in most parts of the world that have not gone totally high-tech. The old recipes that have used this spice with that meat, these are more than just for flavor. They match up, a certain meat with a certain spice. Lemon with fish, that works in the gut. Without lemon, it's just heavier. Dairy with cinnamon and cloves in rice pudding and so on, That makes it lighter. Certain cheeses have cumin seeds right in. Certain European cheeses have spices cooked right in, dill cheeses and cumin cheeses, which make it more digestible. So it's not really enough to say that this food is not going to work under all circumstances. It's possible to be very artful with diet. It's possible to take something and figure out, how am I going to take this in? You know, maybe I have to take it in a smaller amount. I have to prepare it in this way. I have to eat it with this kind of thing, but not that kind of thing. I have to eat it around noon, not at 10 at night. With all of that stuff, when all of that is done, then diet can be very expansive. You can take in virtually anything. And this is what I work with in terms of working with my clients, try to get them to build awareness of what they're capable of at any given time, and to understand what it is that they're considering eating, to have some understanding of it, and then try to match it up. If it doesn't match, leave it alone. But if you can discern that it matches, then you can take it in. So those are the two ways of looking at diet. One way is to create a category that yes, no, based on whatever. And the other way of looking at diet is to have an awareness of what one is capable of assimilating at any given time. It varies day to day. And to know what it is that I want to take in. And if things are done that way, then diet is not at all restrictive. It's actually, you have a healthier diet and you have more things that you can eat, which is quite a nice thing to have, healthier and yet more choice. It's possible to do it that way.